So, welcome, Tobin.
Thank you.
It's so nice to be able to chat with another Costa Rican YouTuber and hear about your experience living here. And from watching your videos, I see that we have a lot of the same values. We both believe in self-sufficiency. We both believe in really trying to live as much as possible outside the system. We both believe in eating from the land and embracing all that we can from the Pura Vida and just a life that is really more in resonance with our beliefs and with nature.
Yeah, I agree. We definitely have those things in common.
I'd love to hear from you about your just your general philosophy of life, like how you live your life. You know, what are your beliefs?
Okay, well, that's kind of broad. I will try to be as specific as possible. So I guess just caring for nature would kind of be the headline for that. Whether it's plants, land, the community, my animals, my dogs and chickens, and any other future animals. So yeah, I grew up kind of in the forest, like a forest guy, forest kid. My father taught me a lot of things about nature. He grew up in Slovakia, like training homing pigeons and raising rabbits in his neighborhood to sell for food and things. And I kind of had those principles instilled early. Whenever he would be off work, he would take my brother and I hiking, showing us like where forageable foods were and how to kind of survive off path. And then that transition to my adulthood where, I was taking people on tours through the same forest, interestingly, in northern New Jersey. And at some point I realized, I want to be able to grow my own food forest and kind of live off of the land, kind of like you mentioned earlier, and be a steward for a piece of land that, could not only just provide for me, but provide, nutrient rich things for my community, for potential customers, and for future generations. So, yeah, it's kind of been an evolution since I was a kid.
That's so beautiful that you had your father teach you that you were born with this philosophy. I can imagine it makes it just a lot easier to embody. Whereas for me, although it's very much the beliefs that I hold now, that was not the type of upbringing that I had, which was more conventional. And not to say that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that now I've kind of done like a 180 in terms of believing in self-sufficiency, believing that we need to come together to no longer rely on the powers that be that impose certain things on us and instead create our own rules and our own ways of living. But I've kind of, I don't want to say I've learned the hard way, but it's been a lot of inner work to be able to remove all of the layers that make it so that I'm no longer conditioned.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've come back to what's true. And one thing I love about Costa Rica is that a lot of people come here to heal that. It's like Costa Rica seems to be a place where people come back to themselves. It's a place to come back to purity. It's like, I think just swimming in the waters and the rivers and walking, barefoot in places, it just brings you back to your rawness, your nature. Has that been your experience of living here? It's brought you closer to yourself.
Absolutely. And just to, I'm sorry to be rude in your video, but yes, we are always barefoot here, in case anybody's wondering. For better or worse, right? We've got venomous, poisonous ants that love to eat us, and scorpions, and a lot of other things that we shouldn't be barefoot around. But yeah, I mean, I think it goes hand in hand, connecting deeper with ourselves and connecting deeper with the planet itself and the ecosystem that we find ourselves in. Definitely resonate with the idea that a lot of people find their way here to heal themselves. Now, I kind of see it from a different perspective in the sense that I had a gym and wellness center and fitness center that was like my primary business in the US. So I intentionally built a place for people to heal themselves in, to come off of the streets, to find us through social media. And after coming to terms with the fact that they needed help, they came into my location. And I feel like, not to get too religious in any sense, but maybe God built Costa Rica or created Costa Rica for that same reason on the planet. I feel there's only a few places around the planet that people do migrate to, in a sense, for healing. From what I've noticed, Costa Rica is one, like Bali in Indonesia is another. I think maybe Peru to a degree is another. There's not many places around the planet that we can find peace and healing. So for me, it's almost a divine kind of neverland, Costa Rica, that people are magnetized to more than seeking it out. I think there's some type of magnetic pull of Costa Rica that brings in people, two types of people typically. I mean, there's an array of people that visit, of course, but the people that come to relocate, I think, are seeking some sort of healing, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or they want to help heal, and not necessarily heal others. Because if you know anything about Costa Rica, a lot of people visit here to host yoga retreats and wellness retreats and things like that, but they don't necessarily relocate here. I think the people that relocate here that want to heal wind up working with the land similar to what I'm doing. And you mentioned earlier that, you know, you're considering joining an eco community, an eco village of some sort, and that from what you've mentioned so far off camera, they all revolve around some type of food product that's already grown on the property. And to me, that's a sign that, you know, you want to be a land steward as well. You're not here just to heal yourself, but you're here to help heal the land, which in turn will heal the air and the water for the entire planet. So, yeah, it's a very interesting thing that Costa Rica has almost a magnetic pull resonating like a hospital does, right? When you need help or you want to help, you find yourself here, just like someone would find themselves either as a patient or a practitioner in a hospital.
For us, what initially, I say us, I mean me and my partner, what initially drew us to Costa Rica, although he had been here several times and loved the place, was this desire to live off the land and to seed the future, essentially, because the people who come to Costa Rica are very forward thinking, and they have an idea of what we need to do to heal the planet from my experience. They're just tapped in. And our belief that one of the best ways to heal the planet is by building community. It's because it's by building community that we come back to how it once was, we come back to our tribal nature. I don't believe personally that we're meant to steward land alone. And although I think you are doing that, and kudos to you, and I would love for you to share that experience. From what I've heard about landowners here, it's a lot to carry on your own.
Mm-hmm.
However, food sovereignty is so important and is how we can ultimately heal ourselves and come back to our true divine nature, because we're taking back our authority over how everything that we consume. We need to do that as a group.
Mm-hmm.
And here there is so much potential to find those people. It's just a matter of time for all of the right pieces to come into play. And this is why my partner and we always hold this vision of building community. And we've lived in different places here in Costa Rica with that intention. It wasn't either the right people, the right land, the right time. We're still manifesting that. We're still calling that in. And right now we have a potential project on a cacao farm that has been let go of because it's one woman stewarding the land who can no longer take care of it. And so she's been looking for different investors, but her dream has always been to see a community take place on that land because it is such a pristine spot. When I go there, I feel strong Lemurian energy. The river is so pristine, waterfalls, everything, and it would be the perfect place for a village. And so right now we're working to see if we can find the right people who want to get involved. And so I do want to mention that if you are looking to be, I'm speaking to anybody listening, if you are looking to be involved in starting a project, a community project in Costa Rica, then do reach out, because a lot of the time, a lot of the people who are interested in community projects are want to get on board once there's momentum. They're like, oh yeah, let me know when it started, and then I'll want to get in. But we need people who are at the forefront. Like, we need the leaders to be stepping in and be like, yeah, let's do this. You know, we have to start that momentum. It's got to start somewhere. So that's just my little, I don't want to say it's not a sales pitch. It's
No, you're good.
a heart pitch.
I agree completely. And interestingly, the timing of this interview and this conversation, I have the first or I should say the second person joining my community soon. So there's actually right now 4 potential people joining what I'm doing here over the next year or so. The first is a former member of my gym who became a friend soon after. And then once I moved here, we just stayed in communication. And then I mentioned at some point I have this guest house I'm renovating. And through the phone, I could hear her like light bulb go off. And she was like, well, tell me more about that. And I said, well, I've done most of the renovations already. It just needs, maybe a few $1,000s more to put in. We had a deeper conversation about it, and she said, you know what, that sounds perfect. I'll help you finish the renovations, and I'll live there part-time, live in Greece part-time. And then that got like a kind of spark in the universe where 3 other people within the same month reached out to me and said, I've been following what you're doing. I love to see the progress, and I'm wondering if you would ever entertain somebody else living in the space, building a small home, a geodesic dome, or some type of naturally built cabin. And I said, well, yeah, let's begin the conversations, because after years of staffing, I realized it's very important to have months, if not years, of kind of interview with somebody for personality fit, especially if you're living in the same space. So over the past year, I've been speaking to several people, and I would imagine that within 12 to 18 months, there's going to be 3 or 4 other people living here as well, joining the little eco village I have.
Wow, congratulations. I look forward to seeing how that evolves for you. Yes, I think it's super important to give people a trial period because even if they're someone that we know quite well, it's another thing to live and commune with them. And when you're living in community, all kinds of things come up that you didn't know, people are your mirror. And then it's like, oh, whoa, I didn't anticipate that. And so, yeah, we have to learn to work together again. We're so used to doing everything on our own. And it's a whole other thing to tie in our life with other people. But I can't wait to see how things evolve for you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So if anybody's watching that tunes into my YouTube channel, I've got a lot of the building renovations going on right now. So you'll see some updates there.
And what's the vision? Is it just really to focus on food sovereignty? Is that the mission?
Yeah. So that's what I've done here. Obviously, I can't capture the entire property on this call, but I'm going to rotate a little bit. I've got, like a fruit tree nursery going. So that's my primary business. And then I just try to plant as much biodiversity as possible. Like over my shoulder is cacao trees and cherry trees and orange trees. So my goal here was to build a food forest, or an agroforest as some people call it. And so it's not just planting as many fruit trees and foods as possible. It's also planting pollinators and flowers and shade bushes and canopy trees and indigenous trees that I find that have been kind of wiped out over the generations to make fruit farms or cattle fields and things like that. So reestablishing the natural ecosystem, but integrating a significant variety of fruits. I have probably over, I want to say 80 varieties or types of fruit trees, and then several varieties of each of those here now. And then spices and herbs, turmeric, curcuma, ginger, all things like that. I just said turmeric and curcuma. For those who don't know, that's the English and Spanish version, and I was saying it like it was 2 different things, but I'm sorry. So yeah, just integrating a boatload, almost an arc of species. And you mentioned seed planting. It's kind of been like my role models for this have been this guy, Tommy, who started a farm called, it's now, I think, the Green Arc, but they used to call it Arc of the Herbs. And he's got thousands of species of plants and trees and flowers from all over the planet and has built this amazing space, I think, in Alajuela, Costa Rica. That was a big inspiration, like growing up hearing the stories of Johnny Appleseed, whether that was a true thing or not, but just the guy that walks around throwing seeds everywhere to grow food for people. And kind of like a Noah's Ark as well, in the sense that everything I'm planting here is going to last lifetimes and lifetimes, hundreds, if not thousands of years beyond my lifetime. So that's kind of my driving force, is that, yeah, I have food sovereignty, or I'm about 80% right now. At some point, it will be 100%. With the help of other people, that's what they're kind of seeking. That's what they found in me and my project, The Jungle Temple, is that they had similar ideas in their mind and heart, and then they started searching and they stumbled upon what I'm doing here, and they contacted to join the community and contribute, but also, like you said, come in when the project is pretty much finished and I did all the hard work already, which is fine. I was intending on being here alone, but then people started bringing stuff up, and I had some work trade people come in for the first couple of years and realized there's value not only socially of having other people, like a community, but also, I don't have to do all the work myself all the time, which can be painstaking. And I mean, you could see, I don't know if you could see with the sun glare from my hands, but I have calluses and rips all over my hands every day. It's just a normal part of the lifestyle. But it's really exciting now to start bringing other people in, because my main communication for the first 3-4 years here, in that I wasn't fluent in Spanish yet, was with my dogs and with the horses and the cows out on the street and my neighbors. And then now that I speak fluent Spanish, obviously I have a lot more community and communication going on. But just to comment on, and I'm sorry to go so deep into this tangent, but Costa Rica, for those of you out there that aren't super familiar, certain parts of the world are known as blue zones, places that people consistently live in good health beyond 100 years old. Costa Rica, an area of Guanacaste and Nicoya, is one of these registered blue zones that has some of the most healthy centenarians on the planet. But as a whole, Costa Rica is essentially a blue zone in many parts of Central America. And there are researchers have done and figured out there's 5 tenets to a blue zone, and one of those is community. So it's very important as we age to not self-isolate like we do in North America and a lot of Europe as well. We hide in apartments that are with locked doors and there's no community. And when we see our neighbors, we're kind of disgruntled and we're angry and we're not processing emotions. We take it out on them. We create conflict. Here in Costa Rica, the doors stay open for the most part. Like I can walk over to my neighbor's house and walk in the house if I wanted to. There's no lock. They don't even keep it closed. Like I have the same thing. My dogs, you see back and forth. My door's open. They go in and out anytime they want. There's something about that open door mindset that allows people to live longer. Sociologists and psychologists have found this out about blue zones, that when your community is just one big family and you're socializing often, you're communicating and you're resolving miscommunications through proper communication and not just harboring it and resenting somebody, it's actually good for your health and helps you live longer and live better. So that's a big part of wanting to bring people in here too, is once I figure out a personality that I can stand and live with for a while, it would be nice to have them around often so we can, benefit each other energetically as well.
What is that we're hearing in the background?
Chickens?
Oh, maybe. Yeah,
Is
it
that what
sounds
you
like
hear?
chickens. It sounds like
Okay.
chickens.
Yep, I've
Yeah,
got about a dozen and a half chickens here, so I produce my own eggs and actually produce enough eggs every week to sell them as well to my neighbors and make some money.
amazing.
Yeah.
When you said that you were 80% self-sufficient, I think that's so impressive. So that means you're growing your own beans, are you mainly eating fruits and vegetables? Or are you also growing rice?
Yeah, a lot of fruits and vegetables. I don't yet grow rice. Something I'm working on for the next rainy season will be growing rice because it needs a lot of moisture. I'm just zoning out parts of my property that are constantly like soggy in a sense, and that's where rice is going to grow the best. So I have an idea where it's going to go, and now it's just cultivating it. I'm very lucky because the town I live in, Parita, is well known for its rice farms and rice fields. Many of my neighbors, that's their primary job, is they work at the rice factory down the street, which is Pariteño. If you're ever in a store in Costa Rica, you see a big bag of rice that says Pariteño, please buy it. You're supporting my neighbors, and thank you. So I'm very lucky. We have really good rice that's from here. I can get it delivered to my house if I ask somebody. So right now, rice I'm getting from stores. Everything else I grow. Yeah, I don't buy any produce anymore or fruits. So everything comes from my property as far as that. Most of my protein comes from the eggs. I do occasionally eat some meat. My neighbor is a cattle farmer, so he has milk and cheese constantly fresh. And I do trades with him, eggs and fruits for that. So I've developed
Wow,
quite
I
a
love
barter
that.
system here as well.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. The trading system. Yeah, because that's one way to get around having to steward it all on your own is like you ask someone to take care of one thing and you take care of another and then you trade and then there's like mutual appreciation for because you put so much energy into what you grew and then so did he and so there's there's a lot more value to the abundance, right? It's like you don't take it for granted. You're not just handing over like paper money that literally has no value for something that you didn't grow yourself. It's like you put so much time and energy, you saw it grow, and now you can appreciate it, have so much more gratitude for it, and you're so connected to it in another way. It's you're
Hmm.
living on another frequency. Like your experience of life is different. And I have not yet had the chance to be able to really grow food and connect with the land, even though we've been working on different community projects. As I said, they haven't lifted in the ways that I would like. And so we never really got invested. And I'm hoping that changes because I'm feeling eager to connect with the land a lot more. And actually, I've started a cacao business in Costa Rica where I'm selling chocolate and ceremonial cacao, except
Awesome.
I'm buying the beans from the farmer. And I would love to actually start to take care of the trees and start from that stage because there's work being done by the farmer before I purchase the beans, a lot of work actually. And so it's another level of connecting with the plant and connecting with the medicine and its potency. So we're going to see where life takes me in terms of my connection to the land, but I feel like this is the kind of quality of life that I want to call in more. So I'm feeling inspired by your shares because it's like serving to show me the quality of life that I want to have. And I'm so grateful for the life I've had in Costa Rica. That's just been quite comfortable. I have dealt with a lot of isolation, like a lot of people here, because it does take efforts to get out and to meet people, and it's transient. So you make friends and then they go. And if you're making friends with the locals, like you seem to have done more, then it tends to be easier to build community. If you're living in areas where there are a lot more foreigners, then there tends to be more of a divide between the locals and the foreigners, and it can be harder to build those relationships. And that's been my experience. I don't know what the future holds. I need to work on my Spanish. It's okay, but it needs to get better.
Helpful.
So yeah, but I would like my daughter to be able to really connect with the land in that way and connect with the locals in that way. So we'll see where life takes us.
Great. Yeah, I mean, very, very important to develop some type of community because I had a challenging first couple of years here because my location is a bit more isolated. Typically, we'll say foreigners find themselves in very populated areas. So there's always some type of socialization, usually with someone that speaks the same language. I have 100 houses in my community. In 100 houses of families, there is one person who speaks English. So I was forced through immersion to learn to speak Spanish, and it has benefited my life substantially. I still meet people that have been here 5 years, 10 years that don't speak a sentence of Spanish, and it's very challenging for them. And so anybody watching this that wants to relocate to Costa Rica or anywhere in Central or South America or anywhere in the world, one of the first things you should really focus on is learning the language and speaking the language because that's going to open your opportunities up. It's going to connect you with the community that'll be there to support you if you need help, and you'll know how to ask for help. But also, like I have a business here. My primary customers are not people that look like me. They're not foreigners. They're not from other countries. They're Ticos. So I came to a country to learn their ways, and I'm doing it in such a mindful way that the locals value what I'm doing and they're not angry that I'm here gentrifying anything, that I saw the value in what they do and I wanted to learn and adapt and kind of bring my own spin to it. And I'm happiest when a Tico comes into my property and is astonished by the amount of growth there is and the rare fruits that they've never seen growing in their own country. So it brings me joy, almost like, and I know there's a little dark side to the movie, but it's almost like when Willy Wonka invited the kids into the factory the first time, like the joy he saw introducing them to everything that he had built over the years. I very much empathize with Gene Wilder in that movie and those feelings. And like at the same time, being kind of discouraged, why doesn't everybody do this? And then it motivates me to help other people like yourself figure out how to do this and find a way to, not only serve the land and to curate a garden, but to, cultivate something on your, like whatever space. I don't want to say small space, on any space that you have. It could be 100 square meters, or it could be 100,000 square meters. My entire goal with doing this is to inspire everybody else that sees my YouTube or my Facebook or Instagram or visits here in person to do it on a scale themselves as much as possible. And just to touch on one more thing, anytime you're near Parita, you, Julie, come visit. I grow a ton of cacao and I don't really do anything with it other than eat the fruits and give them away. So I'm looking for people that want to process chocolate from it, and we could figure something out. I'd be more than happy to share and help you with your business as well.
Thank you for that offer. We will chat. We will see what's possible, because I love the idea of being able to get cacao from different places and offer like the different tastes, and this was grown with this intention and on this land, and there's so much to discover in terms of abundance. And also I want to mention that what you're doing in terms of propagating rare seeds is like such a gift to the earth, because there are actually so many fruits in Costa Rica. I think that's amazing that you're offering the ticos fruits that they have never seen. And like, this is so important, because we think that, the fruits that are available are bananas, papayas, and piñas. And it's like, there's so much more, but you have to find those farmers that are making an effort to propagate those seeds and to save those seeds. And as you say, it's serving so many generations down the line. And ultimately, this is why we're all doing this, is to serve the future. So like, what you're doing is such a greater service to humanity than yourself. So thank you. And yeah, I very much look forward to meeting you in person, Tobin, and coming to Parita. And yeah, Tobin and I would like to film an in-person video where he can show me all of these exotic fruits, and then we can learn about all of the things that exist that are out there.
Agreed. And that will happen soon, so stay tuned for sure. Yeah, anybody else that wants to visit, just look up the Jungle Temple on social media. I have a YouTube channel that will be linked, I'm sure, Tobin Osuski, but also another one for Costa Rica Food Forest, the Jungle Temple. And you could see a lot of what I'm doing here. Wherever you are, if you're in a climate similar, you could do a lot of these things as well where you live. There's lots of places you could source seeds and plants from a lot of nurseries, even in the U.S., that are carrying a lot of these things. I know in the southeast of the United States, there's a ton of farms right now that are helping people cultivate these things, out of Florida and the Carolinas for sure. In regards to like what you were saying as far as what goes in to the trees and the cultivation, and everybody treats it differently, that's absolutely true. I feel since I've lived here, I've really focused on organic and not necessarily like certified organic, where I'm doing things to appease some type of government system, but rather like truly biodynamic organic growing, in the sense that I use no biochemicals. I don't even use gasoline for a lawnmower or a weed whacker to cut the grass. I cut everything by machete. So there's no gas being burnt on my property. There's no chemicals being used. Everything that goes into the food for the trees is its own self-created compost of leaves dropping to the ground, and I don't get rid of them. I just let them break down so the nutrients reabsorb. I have so many other trees, fruits, and flowers growing next to each other that, for example, I like to say I grow coffee here. And this is to give you an idea of how things are influenced too. Usually coffee is grown at higher elevations. I am at 60 meters above sea level, so my coffee automatically is going to have a different flavor profile than coffee grown at higher elevations, with different air quality, different content. It's very moist and dense where I live. I'm kind of in a jungle surrounded by rivers and waterfalls. And also, where my coffee farm is, I have dragon fruit growing above, I have oranges growing above, I have guanabana, blue java bananas, caimito, the star apple growing, I have guava growing there, and plantains. All of those fruits drop to the ground and create natural compost and nutrients for the coffee. So my coffee is going to have all of those flavor profiles subtly invested in the genetics or implemented or infused in the genetics, where a typical coffee farm has rows of hundreds of coffee plants only. So there's going to be an entirely unique flavor profile for all of the trees that I grow here, because there's so many things influencing the genetics, which is really exciting. And that's why, the chickens are good too, because the eggshells all get crushed down and made into a compost for them. The chicken poop, the dog poop, the cow poop occasionally, that all goes into, what's growing here. And immediately, and people have no reason to lie to me about this, but whenever I bring fruits and gift them to my friends who are business owners in town or just friends in general, they always write me after, even the eggs, because the chickens are eating all the fruits that drop to the ground too. Every time someone tries a product from here, they have to make a point after to tell me how much better the flavor is than buying it at a store, which to me is the most rewarding thing that I never expected. But it gives credit to the food that goes into them and the energy that goes in. Because if you're walking around my property with me, and I'm just starting to do tours actually on Airbnb right now of the food forest, I speak to the plants and touch the plants and like caress the branches and the leaves as if it was my dog, as if it was one of the chickens or a friend. That goes back to me not having people to communicate with for a couple of years here. I communicated mostly with the trees and the plants, basically begging them to grow and survive. And then it became like calling them baby and calling them sweetie and calling them like endearing names. But people are finding, as quantum mechanics is evolving as a field right now, that the words we say or even the thoughts we think have some type of vibrational frequency attached, and that influences everything in our fields, right? In our bioelectric field or biomagnetic fields. And I found that there is a lot of credibility to that when working with plants. And people do experiments, right? They have 2 house plants, and every time they walk in the house, they say a nice thing to one and an angry thing to the other. And the plant that's having nice words said to it thrives after a month, and the other one starts to die after a month. And I feel like working with plants is helping me learn how to work with humans, how to communicate with humans that frustrate me, knowing that, okay, if I say negative things, that frustration is just going to resonate even higher between the both of us. But if I try to change the way I speak more honestly, might not necessarily be sweet, kind things that are lies, but more genuine things and more confronting things rather than just demeaning things that we say to each other, we can have some type of symbiotic relationship where everybody rises together. Because I've noticed in less than 5 years that speaking kindly and caring about plants helps them not only grow quicker and stronger, but also better tasting fruits, which is very interesting.
I so believe that. And I'm actually curious to see about how cacao, for example, your cacao could taste differently because of that. Because, yeah, it can have such a difference. The love that we put into something is reciprocal, so it gives it back. So I can imagine that your fruit and everything tastes so good. And having that reverence for life and for the land is really a way to dance and feel, I think, a lot more fluidity and ease in the process, because everything is from a place of respect, gratitude, and it just makes life more beautiful. So
I
what a
agree.
beautiful share.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, for me, that was probably the most important thing I could say for anybody working with plants is respect them like you would a person in your life that you love and that loves you. They reflect that feeling immediately. And now we're going to dive into some like mystical stuff, but you can almost feel at some point the plants speaking to you. They will tell you what they need, what they want, how they're feeling. It's very interesting. And I know science very soon is going to start to prove these things as valid, what I'm saying. But right now it sounds a little like, what do you say? Like, woo woo type stuff.
Yeah.
But interestingly, woo in, I think, Mandarin is like the word for wisdom or something. So it's funny that we say woo woo about something crazy, and in Chinese that means wisdom, wisdom. If I'm translating that correctly, but yeah, it's very interesting. Not only does water and sunlight influence the abundance that comes from these trees, but it's the words and intentions and care and just spending a moment with them. Like, I think I rescue usually abused dogs. Sometimes they have lived a little bit better life, but most of the dogs I've had have been like severely abused. And the most important thing for them is not discipline or regiment or boundaries training. It's just getting affection, like getting genuine affection and having them sink into it and not having it be fleeting or brief. Just be like, oh, I love you, and like a little pet. No, it's like investing hours into letting know that they're safe, letting them know that they're safe, and where you are is like home, and they'll always be safe here and they'll always be loved here. And I feel like for me, that has also translated to the plants. And people laugh at me because once a month now we have a farmer's market in Estoril Oeste, if you're familiar with Central Pacific. It's a beautiful beach community that's at the north side of Parita. And we do this farmer's market along with a partner of mine, the Mauser Foundation, which is like an artist foundation, but they have this plot of land, and they've welcomed in a bunch of local vendors, ticos, foreigners, to sell our products there, and I sell my trees there. And every time somebody buys one of my trees or plants, I'm like talking to it like somebody just adopted a dog from a shelter. I'm like, bye, baby, have a good life, do well, they're gonna love you. And the people are like laughing. They're like, I am. But I could see that they're thinking like, I just bought a plant. Like, I'm not adopting a child, but for me, that is how I feel. Like, I've raised this child to the point where it can now survive on its own and support somebody else's family and contribute. And I send it off with like, I love you, good job, like, I'm proud of you, have fun in your new home. And people just chuckle at it all the time, but they get it. So as silly as it seems, I mean, I feel like I'm planting a seed in the new owner to do the same thing once they have this plant planted. And I am quite sure, nobody's told me this, but I'm quite sure when they're planting it in the ground, when they bring it back home, I bet they're speaking to it the same way I speak to it, which is like the coolest seed to plant in the world.
So your seeds are all more valuable because they've been grown with this this energy.
I like to think so. Yeah, absolutely. Like, my neighbors gave me a high compliment when I moved here. They said I had a buen mano, which like in the US we call a green thumb, which is someone who's skilled with plants. And one of my workers here, I had helped landscaping my first couple of years, and like a groundskeeper, a local guy, and he would find all these other native species to bring in and be like, you got to plant this, you got to plant this. And then I would teach him about the things that I was learning about that he wasn't familiar with. He always said I had mano de Dios, like the hand of God. Like, and I feel like many of us, if not all of us, have some type of divine ability innate within us that we're born with, and it just takes sometimes a lifetime to uncover it. Some people are savants and they find it very young, but most of us, it's going to take trial and error and trauma and growth and healing to find these innate divine abilities, whether it's some type of telepathy or telekinesis or the ability to levitate, like St. Joseph of Cupertino. Like, some are more extraordinary, but some are very simple, like empathy that Mother Teresa had or something like that, or the ability to heal, like some true like Reiki style healers or doctors that find themselves always healing their patients and never having, difficulty in finding that ability. Someone who's really good with food, could bring magic into somebody's life, gastronomically. I feel very grateful that I found my calling in like being able to basically touch a plant and then it grows abundantly. So whatever you want to call that, good hand, buen mano, green thumb, I'm really grateful that I found that within myself, and I hope that other people, because I know there's billions of people on this planet that probably have the same thing and they just don't realize it. So hopefully many of them are watching your video once this is posted and they realize, oh, I've always had good luck with plants and stuff, and they want to start building abundantly and helping other people grow their gardens too, because that really is a skill like playing piano like a savant. It just might have longer term impact and positive impact on the planet and humanity than playing the piano does.
I also think that the person's consciousness is transmitted through their hands. And so if you're putting your hands in the soil with the seed, there's that at work, at play as well. So
Absolutely.
your energy, everything that you're giving is coming out through your hands. And so
Hmm.
yeah, that's what you're sharing is powerful. Yeah. And I think that you're sharing a lot of things that people are going to need to learn. And so I think it's beautiful that people can come and learn from you and get it. And I love the fact that you're sharing on YouTube about your journey. I mean, in the end, that's why I have a channel too, is to inspire. And before this interview, I was like, this is my intention. And lately, that's what I've been putting before I record, is to inspire. And I'm inspired for sure by your shares. And it's making me want to get my hands in the soil more. So thank you.
I've succeeded. Thank you.
Yay. Oh. Yeah, I don't know what else is there anything else that you would like to share about?
I could go on
Yeah,
forever about my love
you
for
could go on.
plants and trees and how
Yeah.
exciting it is to, um,
Oh
something
yeah.
I was thinking about. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I just want to add something. I just want to add that in relation to what you were saying about having these callings or having these natural gifts, for me, I still don't feel like I've fully stepped into that. And actually, I feel like part of my gifts is to be at the center of a community project, which is actually written in my gene keys. It says, like, when you're fully in alignment, you're going to find yourself at the center of a project. And of course, that's like a life mission. But one of the projects that I'm really, really like calling deep in my heart is the creation of a birth center. Because since the birth of my daughter here in Costa Rica, I've just awakened to the realities of birth and how birth disconnects us from God. And so basically all we're doing is reconnecting our truth, our divinity, which is what you're doing through the plants, through the stewarding of the land. And this is how right now I'm feeling called, is to reconnect our beings, our bodies, to the source right at the birth. And so part of my community vision is also to create a birth center vision. And the more I talk about it, the more I put it into form, which is why I think it's so important to share about it and to get for people to learn about the truth that having a hospital birth is preventing you from being fully in your sovereignty. I want to say it like
Good.
that.
Yeah,
And
very well
yeah,
be. Yeah, I agree.
yeah,
I don't have
yeah.
any children, so I can't relate directly, but I appreciate the principles you just said. And for sure, when you were saying it, I was thinking, oh, like when I have a kid, they will absolutely be born on this land, on this property somehow. Maybe I'll get some type of like birthing bathtub and put it right out in the middle of the gardens here and have a doula come in and the kid that will inherit this land at some day will have been born here, which is very symbolic too.
Yeah, and that's how it was for the locals for so long until they started selling all of
Exactly.
their lands. They were always
Exactly.
in here. Yeah. And the locals that are the most tapped in and the most pure in their hearts are the ones that are so super connected to the land and have been
Hmm.
stewarding their lands for such a long time. It's like it makes a certain quality of person.
That's what I've learned from here, to be honest, is the community I'm in, it's named Vasconia of Perita. And these families have been here. There's in those 100 houses, maybe only 5 or 6 families that have been here probably since like Aztec Inca times when they were using this as like a cross trading route for, cacao farms. I mean, for anybody that doesn't know the history, paper money, coin money was not brought to Central and South America until the Spanish invaded in like what, the 1500s or 1600s. So before that, what was used as currency was dried cacao beans. Did you know that?
Yeah.
So for the Incan Empire, the Mayan Empire, the Aztec Empire, money, the banks were the cacao farmers, essentially. And that's who loaned out what was used as currency to people and trade for other things like gold and I say maize, corn, and all other food products that they would want to eat, or kind of retail products that they would want to have. So what's really interesting is I've had this conscientiousness of the fact that I am in the ancient Switzerland of banks for the ancient world in Central and South America, and this idea that there are cacao farms in my neighborhood up the hill that have been here probably for 1,000 years, maybe longer than that. And they've been supporting the world financially, because not only is cacao not a currency anymore, but chocolate is the number one business on planet Earth. Many people don't know this. They probably think some other type of business, oil business or this business, is number one. No. If you look at Forbes earnings every year, the number one product on planet Earth, it's companies like Mars Inc., which is a chocolate company, Hershey's, which is a chocolate company. These are the biggest companies in the world still to this day. So chocolate still, cacao does run the world still to this day. So it's been a big intention of mine, not just to grow cacao myself, but to learn from places like Iguana Chocolate up in Mastatal and help them get into the farmers markets. And I have a restaurant space that I'll be opening here. I'll be retailing their chocolate here. I will also be utilizing it with the chefs into the menu also, and then letting people know exactly where it's coming from. So then people want to go to their farm and visit and do a tour and buy their products directly.
The people who thrive in Costa Rica are very resourceful. So you're just an example of that. I just want to add that.
Thank you. I'm just getting to the point where I'm thriving. For a few years, I was surviving, but I'm now on the point where I'm thriving, and soon it will be abundantly. But I'm very grateful because the people here, the ancient culture, but also the modern culture, which is the point of this whole roundabout conversation that I'm having, is that my neighbors have taught me every single thing I could learn about this. I've learned maybe 5% from YouTube videos, 95% from my neighbors who are here experimenting with me with new trees, who are teaching me about the trees that they knew about and how to cultivate them, and when they start flowering, when they start fruiting, when to harvest the fruits, what to do with the fruits after. I mean, the amount that I've learned from the people in my neighborhood, just Vasconia, let alone all of Costa Rica. So if anybody's interested in doing something like this, I encourage you to not just stumble through it and just watch YouTube videos or read books, but find somebody who's generationally been doing this. They learned it from their grandparents, who learned it from their grandparents. And this history traces all the way back to probably pre-Incan, pre-Columbian, pre-Maya, pre-Aztec. There was cultures here that have been doing this for thousands, if not tens of thousands of years, that we don't even acknowledge in history, but they've existed, because the techniques that I'm taught are not something that can be developed in 1 or 3 generations. These things have been handed down for tens of thousands of years, despite what our history books tell us.
Yeah, there's so much wisdom that's been kept in the locals that have been stewarding the land. It's the best place to learn. And although some of them have unfortunately adopted like toxic practices, they've been influenced and they're using glyphosate, a lot of them still have that wisdom, and the ones who have been living off the land, a lot of the time they're connected to it. And yeah, you're really doing the right thing by living in a place that has a lot of locals around it and learning Spanish, and wanting to connect with them is the best way to be adopted by Mama Costa Rica, I believe, and feel at home here and feel rooted. So yeah, kudos to you. It's beautiful work that you're doing. So thank you for your devotion to.
Thank you. Just planting seeds in many different ways.
Planting seeds. And it just shows that it's all of our individual actions that have an impact on the whole, that like it ripples out in so many ways. And so when we're passionate about something, and we can tell that you are, it's like following that and pushing towards that has such an impact on the world. So thank you.
You're very welcome. It's an honor, truly.
Yeah, I've loved chatting with you. I've loved learning from you and feeling your passion, your fire for all of this. And I'm very much looking forward to meeting you and visiting your farm. And so stay tuned for part 2 of this. And yeah, thank you so much, Tobin, for your time, for your wisdom, for your shares. It's really appreciated.
Thank you for the conversation and the platform to share these things.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Until next time. Thank you all for listening too and watching. Please subscribe to her channel.
Yeah, and yours as well.
Thank you so much.